here we go. Our evening wind down yoga session, and let's begin seated. So you may like to sit in a chair. The original idea with these sessions was also that you could sit on the edge of your bed, and then when we're done, just, turn off your iPad or close your laptop and lie down and go straight to sleep. If you're on the floor with me, you're on the floor with me. And let's begin. This might be new for some of us, but we'll start with a mudra. This is a yoga pose for our hands. The purpose of this mudra is to enhance our breathing practices. So we actually take our thumb over top of our first finger, and then we can just rest this in our hand or in our laps or wherever we're comfortable. We can sit up tall. Option to close our eyes here for our opening relaxation. And let's just notice what's going on with our breathing right now. As we sit here, we are practicing our powers of observation. Is our breathing fast, slow, deep, shallow, shaky, smooth? There's no right or wrong thing to notice. We're just noticing. And to encourage a deeper, fuller breath, let's start our three-part breath. So we imagine that our lungs are separated into thirds, and we fill our lungs like we'd fill a glass of water. With our inhale, we fill the bottom of our lungs and feel our belly expand. Then we feel our ribs expand, and then filling right to the top, we feel our chest lift. So every breath in, we're filling from the bottom to the top. We may even think to ourselves as we inhale, bottom, middle, top. As we exhale, simply letting everything go. We may like to count in our minds with this breath as well. Inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 1, 2, 3 at a speed that suits your need. To encourage a deeper breath, we may stretch this out to a count of 4. A more sleepy kind of wind down feeling, we can inhale for a count of 3 or 4, but then let's exhale for longer than that. So often the recommendation is inhale 4 and exhale 8. We might be doing an inhale of 3 and exhale of 6. And the numbers really just help to keep us focused. We don't have to count in our heads, but anything to help us inhale completely, and then stretch our exhale out longer than our inhale. One more round of breath. Feel nice to shake our hands off, open and close our fists, loosen up our fingers, roll our wrists. So we'll do a flow and hold kind of warm up, follow me. We'll go through our movements of the spine, but let's start with our shoulders. So we'll circle sweep, inhaling up. And exhale, bringing hands down through heart center. As we did before, breathing at a comfortable pace, moving at a comfortable pace. You may be moving more quickly than me, more slowly than me. It's all good. We're noticing that range of motion in our shoulders. Maybe we are being a little easier on ourselves today. Maybe we're doing a larger range of motion, listening to our bodies and responding accordingly. Let's give it one more like this. Perfect. Let's begin with lateral flexion. So we'll take one hand down to the side, the other arm up and over. We'll inhale to reach, and then exhale to switch sides. Inhale to reach, exhale to switch sides. Perfect. So we might feel the expansion of our inhale, opening more in the side of our body that's stretching. Fluid movement is great for warming up our muscles and joints, but it's actually good for calming our nervous system. And if we have any lingering energy at the end of the day, it can help burn that up as well. All right, let's pause on the next side. We'll hold here. And our bottom hand helps us to stay tall. We can put our attention in the long or stretched side of our torso and sort of send our breath there to get more stretch in that side of the ribs. And this can maybe help us by the end of class to get a deeper, easier breath. And let's take it the other way. Again, pausing here, the bottom hand helps us to reach tall. And it's more about the movement of our torso, less about the movement of the arm. In fact, if we did have maybe like frozen shoulder or any shoulder issues, we could rest our arm down and that would be okay. Once more, putting our awareness in the expansion in the side of our ribs for another breath in. Bring it back down. And let's do spinal rotation. So we'll sit tall to begin. And if it feels good, we can move our arms with us, sweeping across the body to take a look over one shoulder. Coming back through center and taking it the other way. Inhaling as we come through center and then exhaling in the twist, pulling our abs into the movement. Let's keep going. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. And if by chance it makes anybody dizzy, we could always keep the eyes straight forward. We still get the benefits of rotation without that kind of dizzy head spin. And exactly, perfect. Let's go once more each way and then we'll hold. Next time we're on the side, let's stay there a little longer. Still inhaling to sit tall, exhaling to pull the belly in and twist, and we're going to pause and hold here. Doing our best, again, to feel the inflation in our ribs and maybe a little less in the belly. And there might be some kind of restriction or we don't have that kind of flexibility in our breath. It's okay. We're aiming towards it, encouraging that development. We'll make our way to the other side. Again, inhale to breath. Exhale to twist. A little bit of core engagement here. Let's take one more round of breath here. Back through center. Give our shoulders a roll or maybe loosen up the neck or anything else that needs to go. And we have one more movement of the spine here. I'll turn sideways, you can stay as you are, but we'll make our way through cat and cow. So we're going to tuck our tails under, pull the belly in, stretch the upper back and tuck the chin. And then we'll reverse that movement, picturing our spines in a C shape in the other direction. Untucking the tail, lifting the chest, stretching the belly, and we can lift the gaze. We can flow back and forth as we've been doing. So maybe inhaling as we lift the chest into our seated cow, and exhaling as we hide our hearts away in cat. Perfect. Let's pause in this chest lift, encouraging inflation through the chest. So we have muscles between each bone of our ribs, and actually, if we're taking a deep breath in, they get a bit more stretch. The same way we might reach our arms overhead to stretch the muscles of the shoulder, we can lift the chest to stretch the muscles in between our rib bones. And let's take it in the opposite direction, stretching the mid-back, tucking the chin, maybe leaning back and holding our knees like I'm doing. And now with our inhale, we're stretching the muscles between our ribs and the back of the body. Making our way back through center. Coming into a neutral spine. Let's pause and notice how we're breathing now. So again, we might like to close our eyes, observing our breath, seeing if there have been any changes. When we're ready, we can open the eyes. We'll do some movement designed to encourage what's called in Sanskrit, the language of yoga, sort of an apana energy, a downward or a down regulation of energy. So we can take our legs forward. Again, I'll turn side to show you. You can sit however makes the most sense for you. We'll come into staff. We might like to start with our knees bent, but if you do notice you're like way back here on your back pockets, let's definitely bend the knees so that we can be on like the bones of our bum on the floor. We'll sit tall to begin, and let's bring this tall posture forward in our forward fold. Once we're here, if it feels good to straighten the legs, help us get a stretch down the back of the legs, perfect. And depending on our level of flexibility, we might start to release the upper body a little bit as well. But it's not like our cat pose. So if you find you're really rounding your back like we were a moment ago in seated cat, I'd say start with more of a cow feeling and bring that forward so we get a good stretch in the back of the legs. Let's put in a sinking breath. So with our inhale, we might feel a bit of a lift as our belly presses into our thighs. And with our exhale, we might feel a bit of a fall, like our body's inviting us further into the pose. Try and hang on to that more sinking feeling as we breathe rather than a lifting feeling. So with every inhale we lift, every exhale, working more into the sink. We can add on one more technique here. Like we started with in our opening meditation, we can inhale for 4 and exhale for 8, or whatever numbers you chose. Inhale 3, exhale 6. Using that long exhale to help ready our bodies for sleep and sink further into the stretch. Let's do just one more round of breath here. Come back to a tall seated position, and we'll go through the same process with a wide-legged forward fold. So let's start the same way. We can bend the knees, we can sit tall, and rather than being way back on our back pockets, let's aim to get our butt bones making contact with the floor. You may need to sit on a cushion or something like that. We'll start with tall posture. Ideally, our toes are pointed up rather than out or back. And let's look for that invitation. So if we feel our bodies are inviting us to fold forward, and some of us might like completely fold in half, that's okay. Some of us might take much longer to even think about starting to straighten the legs or fold forward. But we'll be here for the better part of like 10 rounds of breath. So we have some time over about the next minute to ease our way into this. Maybe walking our hands forward. We might feel that sinking breath again, lifting on the inhale, moving further with the exhale. Scanning our bodies with our minds, noticing how we're feeling, listening to those messages from our bodies, finding kind of that comfort edge where we're getting enough sensation but not too much. So far that we're feeling like a deep back stretch, let's come out of it and work more on the leg stretch. We will have another opportunity for a back stretch if that's what you're looking for. One more round of breath. And since we took so long coming into it, we can take quite a while coming out of it. It's totally normal if you feel kind of stuck or stiff on the way out after we hold the stretch for this long. We need to gather our legs in. And it might actually feel quite nice to loosen up the legs after that kind of stretch, taking the knees from side to side. Or even like we used to do in gym class, maybe take the legs out or butterfly the knees. Time as you like. We're going to go into a back bend here. So we can take our fingertips behind us and lift our hearts. We might have flat hands down, sort of like we're sunning ourselves on the beach. We can point or flex the feet. But the aim is to lengthen across the front of the body to balance out some of that forward folding we just did. And again, this is another pose designed to sort of burn up any remaining energy at the end of the day. I've been listening to interviews with a neurobiologist who specializes in the eyes, and here's a little tip. He says that looking up is energizing, but looking up with the eyes closed is more peaceful and relaxing. So as long as we're not getting dizzy, feel free to close the eyes here and see how it feels as we breathe into our chest, expanding the chest space. One more breath in. And then again, a moment to reset. So it might feel nice to give our legs a hug, to windshield wipe the legs back and forth, or anything else we need. And then we're ready to make our way down to the floor for some supine stretches. So however we like to get there, let's ease our way down. We can start by drawing knees to chest. Might feel nice to rock side to side. And let's go ahead and hold just behind the right thigh. We'll let the left leg go. So we can give this leg a big hug. And let's work with our breath again. So with our inhale, the leg will go away a little bit. With our exhale, we can press thigh to belly. With our inhale, our breath will press belly to thigh. Exhale, we pull in. And we'll turn this into a hamstring stretch. So we can start to straighten the leg. If you like this sort of flow and hold movement that we've been doing, we can bend and straighten, easing our way into the stretch. If by chance it feels like your leg is just really far away, we could always hold our pant leg instead. And then let's hold our hamstring stretch. We'll press our opposite foot down for support, so our left heel presses down. Might feel nice to loosen up our ankle, point and flex, circle the toes. Let's remember our breath. Be a tight stretch, so if we're holding, encouraging the body to breathe. And we'll turn it into an inner thigh stretch. We're going to take the right leg over to the right side. If it's accessible, yes, we could hold our ankle or our foot, or we might actually like to use our right hand under our right leg, more as like a kickstand. You can't really see what I'm doing. But as the leg comes open, catching it with your hand, that might be more comfortable. And again, we could be bending the knee and holding behind the thigh, kind of settling into it, making any adjustments, and then we'll just hold it. So we could kickstand, or we can hang on to it. But the idea is that as we open out to the side, we get an inner thigh stretch, which is where we often hold a lot of tension during the day. Might not even be aware of it, but then we go to bed and we still have this kind of gripping tension that keeps us from sleep. And in terms of our meridians, this one is supposed to help us wind down. Again, since we're holding a while, might take some time to come out of it. We'll come back to knee to chest. And we'll make our way into a twist. So we'll go ahead and plant the right foot down. We can shift our hips a little over to the right. And then we'll bring our knee across the body for a twist. So we're working our right knee towards the floor if it wants to go there. Our left hand can be either guiding or again supporting underneath. Maybe we stop our knee with a fist or a flat hand. And our right arm is free. We might want to place it on the right side of our ribs to notice again that expansion of our rib cage. Or we might like to release it out to the side for a deeper chest stretch. Let's see if we can shift and adjust to make this an even more passive pose, doing as little work as possible to stay here. And And there's this idea that we need to try hard to do things in life. And there's this saying in this kind of gentle stretching yoga that we should actually try soft instead. So if that makes sense to you, go ahead and we'll try soft in our stretches. Maybe using another sinking breath here or a long exhale. One more here before we switch sides. We'll start to bring our way back through to center. We can leave this knee up if it feels good. And we're stretching our arms overhead to lengthen through the front of the body. We may like both legs straight. We can walk our feet in again, and we're making our way to knees to chest, giving ourselves a big hug. We'll go through this same pattern on the other side. So we'll hold behind the left thigh, letting our right leg go. Easing our way into a hamstring stretch. Might feel better to bend and straighten before we hold. I find our hamstrings often need a little extra convincing. Careful that we're still breathing, we're relaxing any stress from our shoulders. And then hopefully we can find a nice spot to settle into. Pressing our right foot down for stability. Maybe we want to loosen up our ankle. And if it's a lot to reach our leg, of course we could just leave it and hang out, or we could hold our pant leg and pull in. All right, and we're ready to start to take it out to the side. So we might like that kickstand again for our leg. We could be holding the ankle. Traditionally in yoga, we take our peace fingers, hold the big toe, and then cap it off with the thumb. Open out to the side, but really, as long as we're getting that inner thigh stretch, and we're releasing a lot of that inner thigh tension that we get from like sitting in a desk all day, often with one leg crossed over the other. Any running or walking we do really tightens up the inner thigh. Can create pelvis tension, and depending on how deep that tension goes, it can actually prevent us from relaxing our stomach and taking a deep breath. So we can even get more out of this by relaxing our stomachs and taking a deep breath as we go. So imagining in our 3-part breath that the air drops right down into our bellies, and we feel that lift and expansion of our bellies as we inhale, followed by expansion of our ribs, and finally into the chest. Be in here for a while, so we might be slow coming back up, gathering our leg in, letting our foot drop. We'll shift our hips further over to the left, And then we can bring our knee across the body, coming into a twist. Our right hand may be holding or supporting under the knee, or maybe drawing our knee further into the twist. And our left hand is free now. Maybe it's on our ribs to focus on our breath. Or maybe it's out to the side, claiming some kind of space out here. We can use it as a counterweight. Since our knee is going one way, our arm can come the other way and we might feel more balanced. And it does give us some opening across the front of the shoulder and the chest. Twists can be a great way to help with digestion and again, burn up some of that energy from the day to cool us down for sleep. Let's see if we can stretch our exhale out to be longer. Invite our inhale to be deeper. And as we come back through center, option to give our left leg a big hug. And move with our breath once more. Our inhale, belly presses against thigh. And exhale, we draw in closer. Letting our left foot land, we could take a nice big stretch overhead again, maybe straightening our legs. All right, once more, we'll draw knees to chest. Might feel nice at this point to curl knees to nose to knees. And then we'll let our feet go. And we'll come into a variation of figure four. You may remember this from gym class. We take our right ankle over our left thigh. This is the very lazy way to do it. So more passive. We're still moving the muscles in the same direction. We're not working as hard, and we might not get quite the same stretch sensation, but there's still benefit. And if we do want that kind of restful option, we might take our arms out to T. If we're feeling tight across the chest, this can help out. And if we're really craving that hip stretch, of course, we can reach behind our left thigh. Maybe we're holding heel and knee on the right leg. There's another variation where the leg comes much further over, sort of like we are seated in a chair, crossing one leg over the other, and we can pull that in. There are a bunch of different variations. If we're getting any kind of stretch down the outer hip and thigh, we're in good shape. This might not be quite enough. We might want to give our right shin a big hug and release our left leg for a much more intense variation, or even releasing the left leg as well. That's one of those kind of pretzel-y poses. Find a place to settle, where again, we get that kind of comfort edge. So we can get what we came for. We get a little bit of a stretch, not too much, not too little. Or maybe we just came for relaxation. We could even be resting the arms. Wherever we are, finding a way to be okay with that. So releasing any sense of right or wrong, competition, judgment, certain expectations. And we'll take a couple more rounds of breath wherever we are. We can start to unpretzel ourselves again wherever we are. Maybe shake the legs out. And we're ready for the other side. So we're taking opposite ankle over thigh. This might be fine. Maybe getting a chest expansion, enjoying being more passive. For more sensation, you can just keep going. Hands behind the thigh, maybe holding knee and foot. Careful that we're not yanking our foot off, but that our foot still looks like a neutral foot, like we'd have in mountain pose. You could give that left shin a big hug, release the right leg, or maybe straighten out. There was that option too, to be more knee over knee rather than ankle over knee. And draw in from there. So our hips and our bodies just in general are different from one day to the next, right? Depending on what we've been doing. So we can't always do the same stretch the same way all the time. And that some amount of variety is really great for balance. Let's see if we can release some of the weight of the world from our shoulders while we're here. And again, maybe we're slowing our breath down, encouraging it to become deeper, and our exhale to become longer. We'll start to unwind, and then any movement to let this go. Straightening the legs, windshield wiping the knees, big stretch. Once more, we can draw knees to chest to set our alignment. So we're going to let our legs go, and wherever our feet land is probably perfect. We'll place our palms down. Might like to tuck our shoulder blades underneath, and we're lifting up into bridge pose. So let's start by pressing our heels down, and then the rest of the foot, really digging those heels in. Lifting to lengthen the front line of the body here. Again, we might like to do a little bit of a flow to find a good spot, and then resting when we do find that good spot. Option here to use our hands to support our backs, or to interlace our hands underneath and really press our shoulders and hands down into the mat to keep lifting us up. Option to stay a little longer or to come out of the pose early. And then once we are down, last opportunity to reset or do anything else we need to do. We might like to take knees to chest and then bring the knees wide, like we're kind of cannonballing. Maybe a bit of a happy baby or a waterfall pose. There may be something you know you love to do. Feel free to throw it in here. And then I'll lead us through the basic exercise. So we'll take our hands interlaced, and if you have any issues with fingers or anything like that, we could always take hand in hand. We don't have to interlace. Those are just the typical instructions. We interlace our fingers, and we take our hands behind our head. So if you can feel in behind your head, we have our skull, and there's sort of this ridge here where at one point it's bony, and then we can feel it's fleshy. And we want our hands to be on that ridge. So maybe our pinkies are on a bony spot. And then by the time we get to our middle finger, it's on a fleshy spot. Bringing ourselves into a comfortable angle. We're going to be here for a minute. Now, we'll do some movements of the eyes. So we're going to move the eyes all the way to one side and then hold. Again, if by chance you get dizzy or have vertigo issues, don't move them very far. In fact, we can get benefit just from being here, resting and hanging out. If we're ready to go, it looks kind of funny. Let's not work quite to 100%, especially if you're one of those people who's usually go, 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 work as hard as you can. Maybe bring it back to 75%. All we're doing is taking our eyes to the left, pick a spot and hold them there. That's it. So we're holding our eyes almost all the way to the left for about 30 seconds. Now you may notice something happens. You feel the need to swallow or yawn, or there's some other kind of funny reaction. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for here. We'll give it maybe another round of breath. We'll come through center and reset. So you might feel sort of like in the cartoons, your eyes are kind of spinning through your head. Let's pick a spot to focus on and resettle. If your hands are feeling a little crushed, you can move them out of the way. Again, clench and open. And we'll take it to the other side. So let's not work too hard. We don't want to strain our eyes, we just want to move our eyes. Here we go. We're taking our eyes almost as far as we can go to the right. So believe it or not, the movements of our eyes are actually connected to the nerves and muscles in the back of the neck. And this can be a great way to create, I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but to create a shift or to notice a feeling of change in your energy, your mood. We're trying to have an impact on the nervous system here. Again, we might notice we smile, yawn, swallow, laugh, something happens. We'll bring ourselves back through center. Might feel nice to do a little face massage, kind of rubbing out any tension in the forehead. Any final fidgets, and then we're coming into our final relaxation here. So traditionally in yoga, we lie like a starfish. If you are on a yoga mat, feet wider than the mat width, hands wider than the mat width. To feel more connected with the ground or to feel more supported, we can flip our palms down. We may also like to place our hands on belly or ribs to be more connected with our breath. Sometimes it's just nice to have a place for our hands to land so we don't feel this kind of free fall sense. And sometimes it feels really nice to be open and free. Finding our own way. So we'll stay here and finish. Option to close the eyes. Option to feel like we're ready to drift off to sleep. I'm going to sit up so that I don't fall asleep, but you can stay exactly where you are. We're done here. We're in our relaxation time, and I'll lead us through a breath practice. We'll finish as we began. Let's start with our three-part breath. Every inhale, feeling the filling belly, ribs, and then chest, filling our lungs from bottom to top. Every exhale, letting go. And there is a little friendly debate in the yoga world. Should we be filling chest, ribs, belly, or belly, ribs, chest? But do know that if you feel it in reverse, that's totally fine. The purpose is to help us get a full, complete breath. We may be counting 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 3, 2, 1. We can stay here with this breath, or I'll add on. Inhaling 4, exhaling 8, just as we've been doing. Again, the numbers don't really matter. We take a full breath in and a long breath out. But the numbers can help keep our breath paced and keep our minds focused. Option to add on, pressing the front part of the tongue to the roof of our mouth in the front. Here's our new pattern. Inhale 4, hold the breath with the lungs full for 7, and exhale for 8. Count at your own pace, whatever speed you're comfortably breathing. In for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Again, try softly. At our own pace. Here we go. Inhaling 4. Gentle holding with the lungs full for 7. Soft release for 8. And repeat. Again, if you notice you're that type of person who strains and gives 100%, let's dial it back to 75. If you know you're the type of person who's a bit of a slouch, you can put in a little more effort here to get the most out of it. Relaxing neck and shoulders and jaw, feeling expansion, belly and ribs. And the recommendation is to do 8 of this style of breathing. So let's not do too many, maybe one more. then we can let this effort go. Letting our breath move on its own. Once more, using our powers of observation. Seeing if we can describe the different qualities of our breath now. And also checking in with how we're feeling from head to toe. Maybe choosing words to describe that too. If we're feeling a little fidgety, we could come back to our mudra, our thumb holding down our first finger. This might give us somewhere to place our hands. So let's spend another minute here. Make this time whatever you need it to be. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. We can bring hands to heart or hands to heart center. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me tonight. From my life to yours, namaste.